Quit being miserable on your hunts. Let us show you how to have an epic next hunt. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Let's Assess. Today, it's me and AJ going to run you through basically gear and what gear you guys need to perform the best on the mountain and to have the best hunts. So, as hunters, there's so many things that are out of our control. I mean, almost everything is out of our control, but one of the things that is in our control is, in fact, gear and what gear you put on your body and you bring with you to weather the elements, and not only to weather the elements, but to keep you in the hunt within being comfortable, being safe without chafing, getting blisters, and then not only that, but having a good success with something like camo. So we're going to touch on all of those today. We're going to go into basically building a gear system and kind of what that looks like, and then what we actually run for our gear system. So to build a gear system, what I mean by that is we want to get, unless you have unlimited money and you can just go out and buy every single piece of gear from every manufacturer, then that's great. But if you're balling on some sort of a budget, or you just want to be light in the backcountry, I think that building a gear system is super, super, super important. So what I mean by that is let's get the right layers and not duplicate layers. So like I was just talking to AJ, we don't want to get 6 insulation layers and no hard shell raincoat. So, we're really warm, but we're wet. So then we're not really that warm. We want to be able to get a gear system that every piece of gear lines up and works together and doesn't really overlap each other. So I have found a really good gear system. And that consists of going from what's on your skin to what's on the outside of all the layers. And all these things they give you a different sort of performance, whether that's keeping you warm, keeping you dry, regulate your temperature, all that stuff. So we're going to dive into that, but just keep in mind throughout this talk that this is in fact teaching you how to build a gear system. So AJ, I'm going to let you jump right into it and get her going.
Sounds good. Well, guys, the main thing is you're going to have base layers, you're going to have insulation, and you're going to have an outer shell. So 3 things. That's your main, what you're going to need for sure. So for base layers, we're talking, socks, long underwear, and then your undershirt. That might be t-shirt, etc. And we're going to dive into that stuff a little more detail later. And then for insulation, we're going to talk like down or cotton or, something that's going to give you that warmth for those cold days. And then for your outer shell, we're going to have, either a soft shell or a hard shell to where you're, depending upon the season when you're hunting, it's going to be water resistant, waterproof, that type of stuff. And the fabrics are where that changes between that soft and hard shell.
Yeah. And before we get completely into this, I'm speaking from the way that I like to hunt is it's an early season, active, lots of hiking, lots of heavy lifting, backpack, stuff like that, archery. And the way AJ likes to hunt is rifle hunting, basically later season rifle hunting.
More rifle hunting. I'll be talking a little more in the later season. You might be, in a truck more, ranger more, etc. So you're going to be changing your layers a lot, getting dressed when you do go out in the environment, not overheating when you're in a vehicle. As a guide in some of the trophy units here in Colorado in the Northwest corner, my clientele's a lot older, so we're not out hiking miles upon miles upon miles, where Brent's doing a little more of that, and especially in the fall when it's a lot warmer, the earlier season. I'm a little more later season. I mean, I do the early season stuff, but I'm a little more geared for that later season stuff for sure.
But we're going to teach you how to build a gear system that no matter whether you're hunting that early fall hunt, archery season, where last year it was the beginning archery season, it was 102 degrees where we were hunting. That's what the truck said. So it was probably like 95 or whatever, but it can go from that to, with my clothes, I've hunted late elk with other people and I've been fine in -5.
Yep. So I just want to go over like my go-to things, and I just want to kind of say I'm more of a kuiu guy. I kind of picked up a brand deal with them and was able to, get some discounts on it. So I went the kuiu route a few years ago, and I've really grown my systems on that. The thing when you're building a gear system is you need to decide between, what are you going to use? Camo, solids. You're going to go to Walmart and buy mossy oak. You're going to go buy kuiu, sitka, First Light, whatever your, go-to is. So I just want to give you guys a little educational piece here on what I know about camo. I'm a big solids guy. I like wearing solids as a guide because I feel like I can get away from the hunter a little bit and be more of like a tree or a rock or whatever. I'm more of like the solid thing that's sitting there and kind of like send them in with their camo or whatever. I've learned from my dad's solids, and that's kind of just the way that I've really liked to go towards. Now, that doesn't mean I don't have a lot of camo in my arsenal as well. And in the camo that I have, you really have to break it down in a way. Like, I'm not going to knock anybody that goes and wears mossy oak from Walmart. It all works, right? But if you are really technical with the gear you want, there's the reason Kuiu, Sitka, and First Light have their digital camo and the different breakups that they do. It's because they have a macro breakup and then a micro breakup. And in that macro breakup, you're going to have like a big like object on it. And then you're going to have a lot of little detail in between that big object. And what that does when you're out hunting is far away, that big breakup, the macro breakup, animals can't see that as easy. It looks like just rock or tree or whatever. It's a big object. But then when you're really up close, you're tight, like archery hunt and something like that, that's where that micro breakup's super important. And that's why they put that digital camo fine breakup in between that, because that's where it looks more like a tree limb or, leaves or things like that to them, because their eyes are super good and super focused. So that's where the macro and the micro are super important in your camo.
What do you think about colors? Do you believe, like, some people think that animals can't see colors, some people do. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so unfortunately, you'll spend all this time and money buying a camo, and then, they say animals can't see colors. I feel like
they can see patterns, though.
But they can see patterns. So that's where it's super important to get that right micro and macro pattern in there. Now, colors, I feel like it's important just to keep colors similar to the area that you're hunting, because if your colors aren't similar, I feel like they can see somewhat of colors, right? And unfortunately, in most states, you have to wear that orange in rifle season or muzzleloader seasons. But safety, that's great. Good for that. I definitely support that safety note that. But the colors, like if you're hunting in the trees, you definitely want some green in there, But if you're up in the rock in the high, hunting bighorn sheep and stuff like that, I think your grays and the darker blues and stuff like that is important. And you just definitely want to match your colors with the area you're in, I feel like.
Yeah.
But I do feel like the pattern is more important than the color itself.
Yeah, so he's a Kuiu guy and I'm a Sitka guy, and that's what I kind of do like about Sitka is there's not like, I mean, I guess it's good and bad. There's not like a million different prints.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're hunting like on their website, it's like, are you below tree line? Okay, then use OptiFade, whatever. And if you're above tree line, it's pretty much the same print. It's just different colors. And so it's easy to match. It's, if you change one thing, you don't have to go out and buy a whole new camo set, where with something like Kuiu, if you want to match, you kind of have to do that. But it's like you're saying, that's kind of why solids are cool. So
exactly. And I always throw like the same color solid pant with any camo coat.
Yeah.
Like you can really just mix it a lot easier and better. And that's with as many days as I spend in the field at a single time without laundry. That's usually my go-to, is having some sort of solid in there.
Yeah. And my thing is I'm not an elk or a deer, obviously. I don't know what they see, but with archery hunting, I want every advantage I could possibly get. And not only that, I've had very close encounters with elk where who knows if they would have seen me if I wasn't wearing camo, but they didn't see me when I was wearing camo. They stared right at me. They were 15 yards away. And so I feel like being still and not being winded, for those of you who are like, camo is a bunch of BS. Well, it could be. Obviously, windage and movement and all that's a bigger deal than the camo, but the other thing is why not take every advantage you can get? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, and you're already spending so much money to be there, and you only have a limited time a year to do this. So why not have every advantage possible? These tools are out there, and sure, maybe it's a gimmick, but I believe in it for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to basically jump in, and we're going to basically itemize our gear systems so you guys can get an idea of maybe this works for you, maybe it doesn't, but you'll get an idea of what we being younger guys that don't have every piece of sitka gear, every piece of kuiu, every piece of everything. But this will give you an idea of what you can get. It's obviously still expensive, but over time you can build a gear system like this, and maybe the same problems, like say you're always cold, maybe, if you're always cold, AJ, then someone resonates with you. So we're going to jump in. I don't want to spiel too much about that. And we're going to jump right into, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. So we're going to start at our feet, which arguably are the most important part.
Yep.
And then we're going to go all the way up to our head. So AJ, why don't you start on socks?
Sounds good. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely somebody that gets cold easy, and I do not like to be cold. And it starts at my feet. If my feet get cold, I'm done. I'm going home. Like, that's day's over. Let's go. So what I start with is a good pair of socks. I do run a merino wool sock generally most days, and I get those from Kuiu. That's my go-to sock. Not a thick one. It's like a medium thick that I wear. And the cool thing about that is it wicks the water away from your feet, because you are sweating when you're hiking, or like in my case, if I'm like driving and I have a cold hunt or whatever, I usually run like the floor heat on my truck or the Ranger, to where your feet will get hot and then sweat and then get cold immediately. So I run that merino wool sock, and that's where I start with. So number one, that's my go-to sock. Now, what's also in my bag is just your normal plain Jane white thin Hanes sock. Now, some people are going to be like, oh, that's not good, but that's what I like break my boots in with. That's what I wear every day. That's what I'm most comfortable with, is that sock. So if I'm just on a general day, that can be a sock that I go with, instead of, if I'm not going to be spending the whole day out there, if I'm doing a morning hunt, evening hunt, whatever, that's my go-to sock, because I'm not spending the entire time in that sock.
Right. So for me, socks are super important. But I don't wear, everyone says you have to have merino wool, And for me, I will wear merino wool if it is cold. If it's not, like if it's chilly or warm, I will go with a Stance. The brand is Stance Performance sock. So I basically wore them playing basketball from middle school on, and they have like cushioning in the right places, and they fit, and they're a good material where that sock isn't moving on your foot. And so if that sock isn't moving on your foot, and then the boot is not moving on the sock, then your chances of blistering go way down. Yep. And that's what I get with like I'll wear smart wool merino wool socks, but I find that if it's remotely warm and I get a tiny bit of moisture on my feet, my foot is sliding in that sock, and then I start to blister, and it just feels like weird and damp, whereas the Stance sock, it'll actually dry itself. And so I really prefer the Stance socks. It's like AJ's talking about. I wear the Stance sock every day, or most days. I really like them. I have a ton of pairs of them, and so that's what I prefer to wear, especially in early archery season when we're logging a ton of miles. Those are the socks that I 100% trust. Now, if it is super cold, I'll go up to a smart wool sock that is, well, if it's remotely cold, like I would say like under 40 degrees, I might run, or we're going to do a lot of glassing or something like that, not a lot of moving. I'll go up to a smart wool, merino wool Hunt. They're actually hunt specific socks. Yeah.
Yep.
And then if it's even too cold for those, then I might even go to, I think the smart wool sock that I wear is like, I think it's called the Mountaineer. It's like a really, really thick wool sock. And that's for like, I'm not going to be walking much at all. That might be like a Ranger day in the snow and negative 30, and I'm going to like glass here, drive here, no heater. Yep. That's the sock I'm going to do. But my feet do get cold pretty easily. Yep. But I would rather have him a tiny bit cold than blistering.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where I think it's more important in the sock area that you wear something that you're comfortable with, and you're probably better off wearing the sock you wear every day that you're comfortable in than anything, honestly. I think that's
contrary to popular belief.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is your number one sock that you should be wearing, and not necessarily spending a bunch of money. I also, going back to my cold feet, I wear heated socks a lot. Like really? In that late, like if it's a fourth season, November, cold, snowy, I have heated socks, and I'll just run those on a low heat. But to jump into the next thing, boots. that's where I make the next move is in my boots versus my sock. I like to keep the same sock. So I run that light, medium, a merino wool sock or these standard Hanes, mid-calf sock, and I'll change the boot with me. So if I'm in the early season, like Brent hunts a lot in, tennis shoes are a huge thing. I know Brent's a big fan of tennis shoes. He's going to dive into some more of what they're a hiking shoe, not necessarily a tennis shoe, a hiking shoe. So he'll dive into that more. I'm going to kind of get into the boots that I wear here. The boot that I wear the most, it's a Zamberlan Lynx, and it's a GTX. So
It's a Gore-Tex.
it's got Gore-Tex. It's a leather shell. And then I like the BOA. I run the BOA. I run it super tight. I've had good luck with the BOA system. I always have extra BOAs back at camp just in case. But that's my go-to boot. I wear that. I'm going to say 90% of even the year. I wear that boot all the time. That's my like work boot, hunt boot, everything. I have a set that's for hunting specifically. But if it's cold, I got another set of Zamberlans. The next step up, those are just, so the GTX, it's like a mid-calf boot, so it's not all the way up. The next ones, they're tie-ups and they go, clear up your calf. And that's my go-to cold weather. And they're like a 400 gram insulate. So that's going to be my next boot of choice. I run the Zamberlans. That's just what I'm comfortable with. I think I'd recommend you guys going and checking out what kind of boots you fit your feet well, and then, kind of walk around Cabela's, etc., and climb their little rock wall and see what fits your feet well. Obviously, out real world experience, you're never going to know. My thing is, if it's comfortable when I first try it on, that's the boot I'm going to. I don't believe in breaking in boots. I don't think it's got to be comfortable from day one.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, so for me, going off what he was talking about with the hiking shoe, so most hunters, like on social media and everything, they're like, it's like Crispy or Kenetrek, Zamberlan, whatever.
Yep.
There's a bunch of them. Most people don't wear these hunting. They're actually like hiking shoes, but they're Hoka 10-9 hiking shoes. So they have Gore-Tex in them. They have a really wide sole, and they have like this piece of foam that sticks out way back at the heel. I have super, super flat, messed up feet, and so I need like a lot of cushion and a lot of support. And these boots, everyone that's tried them on, they're like, dude, I'm buying a pair of these. Like, they look so stupid, but they are so comfortable. They're easy to walk in. They're light. They're just beautiful. So those are the ones early archery season. If it's gonna rain a ton, like it's rained 4 or 5 days, I won't wear that, because eventually I found that water will seep in just a little bit, even with a Gore-Tex bootie in it. But most of the time where we hunt, there's not a lot of rain. So that is my number one go-to hunting boot. If I can only have one, that'd be it. I have 2 others that I wear. I'll wear a Crispy Nevada, which I've really liked. It's a leather Gore-Tex, real, compared to the Hoka, way stiffer a boot. So if like we're in like really rugged terrain, like up and down wise, that is a good boot to wear. It's not near as comfortable. I love Crispy. I really do. I love the company. I love all their products. But it is not as comfortable as the Hoka, in my opinion. And then going from, another Crispy that I have is, I think it came out last year. It's called the Altitude GTX, it's kind of a earlier season Nevada. It's leather and then with some like mesh on the top, fully waterproof. Like I've walked through rivers with it or creeks with it, and completely waterproof. So those, if the weather's bad or I'm doing something really, really rugged, those are the boots that I like to wear. But if you guys are looking early season, or even scouting trips, you should look into Hoka hiking shoes. There's all kinds of ones. There's like the Incappa, which I just got. I haven't tried it yet. The Hoka 10-9's the one with the big heel on the back. And everyone that I've pointed in that direction really, really likes them. So you guys should give them a try for sure.
Something you're going to really like about that shoe is when you're stalking an animal and you're having to get really close, they're quiet because it's a soft sole. These other boots that like where I'm talking about, like the boot I wear, that Zamberlan GTX, It's a fairly soft sole. It's a vibram sole, so it's not super loud, but it's a lot louder than a tennis shoe. So if you're really getting up there in the animals, that tennis shoe is a lot quieter, and you're not gonna be taking your boots off walking in socks.
Yeah, and the great thing is it has a Vibram sole, not the same.
Yep.
Vibram sole, it's not as rigid, but great traction. I've gone, dude, probably 1,000 miles in those boots by now, and in really rocky stuff, and they've held up really well.
Yeah.
So, all right, on to base layers. Moving up, base layers. What are you running for base layers?
So my thing, I'm gonna start with underwear here, because when you're out like if you're packing in and you're wearing underwear multiple days, or even just hiking a lot and you're sweating, chafing's a major problem. So
dangerous problem.
Yeah.
That can injure hunt.
Oh man, it'll ruin it, and you'll be miserable. No one wants monkey butt. You'll be powdering. So I run American Eagle is what I use. Now, every single underwear company probably has the same style, but I use the elastic fabric. I don't like the cloth because it seems like hold the sweat and it stays wet. I run the like elasticy, stretchy kind, and that's been what I have found to be the best. It like kind of like gets the sweat away and then like gets it to the pants and then lets the pants get it out from there.
Okay. So, I've tried a couple different things. One, the brand Tommy John, I really like, for hot stuff. I like that. Another one, I've tried the Sitka merino wool. I like it. I wouldn't say it's the best though. And then another one that I really like is Duluth Trading Company Armachillos. Bro, those I like those Armachillos. Yeah, those are nice. So, and then going from underwear, my base layer when it comes to long johns or long underwear, I don't wear them unless they're really cold. A lot of guys wear them all the time to try to wick sweat.
Yep.
I don't wear them that often. I'll wear a real light, either smart wool or Sitka merino wool, like the lightest that they have. It's almost see-through. And then if it's considerably colder, like late season, I'll wear I have a pair of thick merino wool smart wools that I wear for snowmobiling too. So I'll wear those, but I'm not a big, when it's remotely warm, I do not like wearing a base layer.
So I'm huge on base layer. Like I wear base layer almost every day. Now I'm going to say like starting in September, as soon as I start hunting, I wear probably long underwear every day until probably April. Like
don't you get
every
hot?
Single day? I don't. So
so
sometimes
crazy.
I do, right? So I wear my favorite pair of long underwear to hunt in is kuiu merino wool, the thinnest ones, just like you do, with the zip off feature.
I haven't even seen those.
That is my favorite thing ever because for one, I get cold easy. So like I start every day in those just in case. So I start in these long underwear, and then the coolest thing is they got a zipper along the side of your legs all the way up, and then a Velcro at the top of your waistband. So you can literally drop your pants in the field, unzip your long underwear, take them off. You never take your boots off, take your shoe off, whatever. You just drop your pants, unzip, long johns off.
Yeah,
so
nice.
If it gets hot, say you're walking out at like 10 in the morning and it's hot, you can, rip those things off and you're good to go. But generally that's my go-to is those thin zip offs. But if it's a little bit colder and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to have to shift my pants to a thicker pant, what I'll usually do is just go to a thicker long underwear. And I'm the same as you. I don't own thicker long underwear specifically for hunting. I wear my snowmobile stuff. All my thicker base layer stuff is fly racing, snowmobile base layer stuff. And I have their heavyweight long underwear and their heavyweight upper shirt. And that is my my go-to base layers if it's super, super cold out. And I don't change between those two. Those are my go-to too.
Yeah, I like the idea of the zip offs. That's pretty badass.
No, you're gonna have to look into those because it's an absolute game changer.
We talk smack back and forth, but maybe kuiu is onto something on this one.
And I got to give it. First Light was the first one I think that had those. But
dude, I was reading on a thread on Facebook. A dude asked what the best base layers were for hunting. Like, and I've never tried them, but everyone, dude, was like, First Light's base layers are by far better than any other company.
That's what I've heard too, and that's I've never even tried it. I probably should, but you like invest in one set, and you're like, I'm a kuiu guy, so you have to live and die by it. It seems like.
No, I hear you. Okay,
so the next thing would be pants.
Are big. Pants are huge.
Oh man, that's the thing, and we're gonna dive into some stuff here with pants that is a game changer when you're in the field. So me, with my build, I have tried the Sitkas and I've tried the kuius, and I have stuck to the kuius, and this is why I am a kuiu guy. The kuius fit my ankle and the boots I wear the best. So the attack pant that they make is my go-to. It's a thin, normal pant with normal like pockets, like your jeans in the front, and it's a back zip pocket, and then along the sides you have a full length thigh air breathable vent there. And these are 4-way stretched, where they stretch with your legs as you're crawling or whatever you need to there. So that's my go-to pant almost every single day. Now, if it's colder, I go to the thicker pant. And then
what is their thicker pant?
Thicker pant that I wear is their guide pant. They have a couple different options, but I go to the guide pant on the thicker days. But if I have to like insulate between my long underwear and that outer pant, I have a super down pants that I have to wear the guide pants over. So it's like, it's got to be super cold for me to go to that route, more like sitting in a deer stand, because the guide pants just have a little bit more room. They're a little more baggy, I feel like. And that's what gives me the room around that insulated.
To wear a full on down pant.
Full down pant. Yep. The attack pant is more like, I'm going to say like just more like a typical jean, right? Like that, your denim jean, that's more what it's typically like. Fits tight. You feel, really snug with it. Now, the biggest thing you're going to find with these pants though, is I run a water resistant pant. They're not waterproof, and they're a soft shell. And I'm going to dive into the soft shell and the hard shell. So the soft shell pant is water resistant, and they breathe. So if you're sweating, you're going to still get some moisture and some airflow in and out of those pants.
The pants I like to wear obviously depends on the temperature and what we're doing, but I've kind of figured out a couple different Sitka pants I really like. Starting with, if it is super, super hot, I will run I think it's the Ascent pant. It's super, super thin.
Okay.
But I don't really like hunting in that pant. I like scouting, wearing it to train in or whatever. I don't really like actually hunting in that pant. The reason why I don't is because it doesn't really protect my legs against brush. I like having a lot of, brush protection. But the biggest thing, way more than that, is it doesn't have knee pads in it. So for archery hunting, you can make fun of me wearing knee pads. The Sitka hunting pants come with knee pads in them. You can remove them if you don't like them. And I was going to remove them, but I decided to wear them on one hunt and just see. Oh my God. I love it, dude.
You like 'em?
Like gutting an elk, you're on one knee, slicing or whatever, or when you're shooting a bow, or when you're, stalking or whatever. The knee pads are super, super clutch. And so I have to have those now. And when you're walking, you don't even really notice them. They're there. You can see them if someone else has them sometimes, but you don't really feel them. It's not a big deal. It's super nice. So the Ascent pant is more for like early season scouting, summer trips, stuff like that. My number one favorite, beautifulest, bestest, everything pant especially for archery season, is the Sitka Apex pant. So I think it's called Apex pant. I think they're discontinuing it, and so I got another pair that's just in plastic that I haven't ever worn because I'm saving it for that day.
Gotta have them, yeah.
Dude. Yeah, I love them. They're a great fabric. They keep me cool. They're camo, so for archery. Then they have the knee pads, and they're made for archery hunting. So like all the snaps have fabric in between them, so they're real quiet.
Okay.
You got deep pockets. You have like separators in the pockets for your release, your calls, everything. I love that pant so much. I've put a ton of miles on that pant, and it's held up really well. So that's almost all of archery season. I'll run that pant. The next pant, it's in between my thickest pant and the Apex pant. It's called the Mountain pant. And I don't really wear that hunting that much. I will if it's like, it's not cold or wet, but it's not warm. It's just kind of in the middle. I'll wear that, but I really don't like to wear that much. Normally I go from the Apex pant up to the next step, which is the Timberline pant. And that has like a reinforced butt, So like riding mules and horses and stuff, it's great for riding horses. I'm on a saddle. It has reinforced knees with knee pads, and then it has a really thick water resistant material in the butt and knees, and I really like it. Comes with suspenders if you like suspenders. I'd take those off and wear a belt, but so those are the pants I normally wear. Then I always carry with me packable. It's the Dew Point pant from Sitka. It will, if it's really cold, if it's wet, if it's snowing, if it's raining, they're Gore-Tex. They're a hard shell like AJ's talking about. They're a little loud, but I really, really have to have that pant because walking through, thick grass.
Yep.
If it's raining and stuff, you'll get soaked real quick. So if you have that pant,
even after it rained,
yeah.
If the or even the morning dew or just the brush is wet, yeah.
It's called the Dew Point pant,
Yeah.
so I guess it's good
That's
with dew. But yeah, so what I'll do is I'll throw those on right over any of those pants, and then I'll have a waterproof layer. The other pant that I like to wear is and I wear this sometimes in Alaska. I've never worn it in Colorado. That is I think it's called the Kelvin Aerolite down pant. And so those are not actually a full length pant. They're actually like a 3/4 down pant. And I thought that was really stupid in the beginning. But the more you think about it, it's actually a really, really brilliant idea because you don't want a layer that's not good with water getting wet. And so if you have a full length down pant, you're going to have it either stuffed into your boot, which is uncomfortable, or you're going to have it over your boot, which then has a likelihood of getting wet. If you have a 3/4 length down pant under a rain layer like the Dew Point, then you have all the insulation you need and you have no chance of it getting wet with the Dew Points over them. So you can wear those if it's cold and you don't need waterproof material on the outside, or you can pair it up with what I do is pair it up with the Dew Point pant, and that system along with the Apex pant, mountain pant and Timberline pant is absolute money. I've never ran into a situation where I need anything else.
Yeah, that's a fun fact to know that you wear capris.
Yeah, capris. I know.
One thing for you guys to know, like he's big on the knee pads, and I've never been fortunate enough to use the knee pads because I have an awkwardly long, like knee to hip length, and the knee pad, like I always just catch the very bottom of it on my knee. So I have a pair with the knee pads, and the knee pads always like on my thigh. So I've never found a pair of pants like with the knee pads that actually fit where my knee is supposed to be. I'd have to like sew it down like 4 or 5 inches.
Well,
to
see,
make it work.
I had a pair of kuiu pants, and I don't recall which one it was. They had knee pads, but they were like the ones that were stitched to the outside.
Yep.
And they're so thin.
Yeah.
That like, dude, the Sitka ones, like they go into an insert, and they're a thick, dense foam, and you can take a knee on a rock, and your knee doesn't feel it.
Huh.
And so the other thing, what I was going to say to that, is with the Sitka thing, the knee pad's pretty long.
Yep. Oh, okay.
And you can move it. Oh. So like, obviously it's in its netting, but like say you're going to do that and you're going to take a knee, just pull your pant
you can pull it
a little bit up and then put it down on the rock.
Interesting.
But I mean, I can't imagine it for archery season. I'm sure or for rifle hunting, I'm sure it would be nice to have, but dude, for archery hunting,
it's a must have.
For me, like, dude, my knees are so bad, as you know, I'm getting knee surgery in 2 weeks. Those are really nice to have.
Yep. No, I'm gonna have to try it because I have had knee surgery on the left knee, and I crawl like one-legged. Like I look like a 3-legged dog out there crawling on stalking things because I don't want to put that knee on the ground because it hurts. You know, not like hurts, but it's like tender where your kneecap touches. So
but even if you have perfect knees,
it's still not comfortable. Yeah.
And then you get cuts and
Yep.
So
definitely
that's my pant system, and I run like those down capris. I run them like in Alaska. We'll go fishing and I'll run them under waders. So for those of you who hunt like waterfowl and it's really cold, you could wear those under your waders. I mean, they're just pretty versatile pants that if it's cold, they're super nice to have.
That's how you can score some points with your significant other, saying that you're buying more camo, but you can use it for more uses. Put it under your waders, use it in other situations, snowmobiling, etc. Whatever you can get away with, do that.
Exactly.
So moving up to the upper body, like I said earlier, I'm big on just wearing a t-shirt, whatever, just normal t-shirts that I wear, cotton, or polyester, whatever these t-shirts are. That's what I'm most comfortable in. I wear a t-shirt under everything. I always wear a hoodie at minimum. Even if I am hot as can be, I always have a hoodie on no matter what when I'm out. I never hunt in a t-shirt. So
really,
even if, it can be 100 degrees out there.
What's the thinking behind that?
I don't know. I just always like having my arms covered. Like I want my arms covered, bugs, brush, whatever. I just want to be covered. Sun, everything.
See, that's how I am with my legs.
Okay.
Like where we hunt, it's like rattlesnakes and all kinds of stuff. So I feel that, but with my upper body, I don't really need it covered.
Yeah.
But
so I like the upper body covered. I like hood on my hoodie. So all my hoodies are hooded. My favorite piece is the merino wool it's the thin merino wool hoodie. So I've got the hood, it's got the long sleeves, and I get everything in the extra long because I'm a long, lengthy person. And then I have the thumb hooks in the sleeves and everything. So that's my go-to, like if my ride or die, the merino wool hoodie, and then on top of a t-shirt. I also like the Peloton. It's like just more of your regular style hoodie. It's a little thinner than like a cotton hoodie, but it's that same like smooth, like soft hoodie. And then it's more like if you like were to be around a fire or something, like it's gonna burn a hole in it. It's that type of fabric. So obviously, it's depending upon the hunt, you don't wear it in all situations. But that is my go-to, the merino, also the Peloton over that. And then to go over that, I have my insulation, which would be the super down or the kenai, which is the kenai is a in between of the super down, and then so it's also feather filled, but it's not the like super like 2-3 inches of insulation. It's about an inch of insulation. I wear that generally every morning starting, and then a soft shell coat over that. So kenai and then soft shell over that guide coat is what I run from a kuiu. Now the guide coat is soft shell, so it's quiet and it's only water resistant and not windproof, so it breathes. So that's why I wear that insulation under it. That way I can still breathe with getting too warm. Generally, I end up taking that insulation off really fast as soon as the sun comes up. But right when that sun's coming up, it's so cold, I get cold. So that's when I wear that insulation to stay warm in that moment. Especially if I'm hunting myself, I shake super bad. And if I was ever to have to like actually shoot something in that moment, I need to be warm. So I'm not adding that shaking on as well. So insulation, if it's super cold, got the super down. And then I always run the guide coat on top of that for generally early season to super late season. Now, kind of breaking into that guide coat, it's that soft shell. It's, just the good all around coat. The next coat that I use in the like late season deer hunting or even late season cow hunt and stuff like that is called an Axis, and it's a hybrid coat. A hybrid coat is something new that's kind of hit the market on both Sitka and kuiu. And what they did with these hybrids is it's a soft shell around the body where if you're standing, the water would run off of that. But if it's on top of your shoulders or your elbows where you're rubbing on things, your sleeves, etc., it's going to be a hard shell. Now, it's a little bit noisier than the soft shell, but it's not super noisier. And when you go to that hard shell is you're now waterproof and windproof. So the windproof not so important in the hybrid, but it is super important to have that waterproofing in those water load areas on your shoulders, etc. Your hood, it would be waterproof, that stuff. So hybrid, super cool jacket. Started wearing that a couple years ago. Been really happy with it in those later season hunts. And then something I pack for pants and upper body both is a rain suit. I don't leave without a rain suit ever if I'm hunting. You don't need a kuiu, you don't need a Sitka, you don't need First Light. You can have Frog Togs from Walmart, but you want a super hard layer to shed that water if you get caught in a rainstorm. So have a set of rain gear, and that's going to be your hard layer. You're not breathing in that. You're not, getting wet under it. That is your hardest layer there is.
So for my tops, for my upper body, I'm with you. I like wearing just a normal t-shirt. I think they feel better. The other thing that I have to worry about in archery season, or I try to worry about, is like smell.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's my biggest complaint with the entire Sitka brand. I haven't found, and if you guys have, leave something in the comments or DM us on Instagram, what your favorite top layer from Sitka is on like a hot day. I don't mean like merino wool base layers, but like an actual camo shirt. I guess it could be merino wool. Send that to me because I haven't found a good one. Sitka, the only ones that I've found, they're synthetic material and they stink. It's like wearing like Nike Dry Fit. It's like it's
got a smell. Yeah,
you could like you could shower, sit in a room and not sweat at all. And in like 10 minutes, you can smell it.
Yep.
I don't like that. Especially for like, you're talking about going on a 4-day backpack hunt and you're supposed to wear that every day and it stinks. So I go to like more of a cotton shirt, and then I'll wear like once we get in a pursuit of an animal, then I'll put on like a light zip up hoodie with a hood. And then one of them that I wear, I think it's the Apex hoodie. It's the same as the pants. It's for archery hunting. That has, I think, merino wool in it. And that has full concealment, so you can pull the hood up, and there's a face mask built in if you really want to get stealthy. But I have not found a good hot weather short sleeve or long sleeve camo thing. That's my biggest complaint with Sitka. So I'll wear a t-shirt till we get in the pursuit. So going up from there, I like Sitka's heavyweight hoodie. That's probably what I spend most of my mornings in. And that's the full camo performance one, not just like a normal cotton hoodie. I will wear a cotton hoodie though. Not necessarily for archery hunting though. So I'll wear the Kelvin, or I think it's just a heavyweight hoodie. And then I'll pair that up with, the Aerolite down insulation layer if it's really cold. And then if I need to make sure the water doesn't get to me, if it's raining, snowing, etc., I'll put, or even to break the wind, I'll put the Dew Point jacket on. And Sitka makes one that has the insulated waterproof thing in it, but I just feel like it's more versatile to have like a insulation layer and then a rain layer. And that way you can use that in late season if you combine the two, or you can use it just the raincoat in early season. So I guess if you had the money to buy the one that's combined, if you're late season hunting, then do that. I think it's like $600.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's basically what I wear on the top all the time is that.
Okay. So we're going to kind of jump out of the order now, I guess. We're going to do hats and gloves together. So for hats, I wear a ball cap every single day. If you catch me not wearing a ball cap, it's a weird day. The only other time is like in the very, very late seasons having to wear a beanie. And I'm big on like a Scandinavian type beanie. I had a teammate that I used to race snowcross with from Sweden, and they brought over these super thin, they look like almost a swimmer's cap type beanie. And I think like hiking stores and stuff, I've seen them in there, but it's just this super thin, like windproof, like beanie. And that's like my go-to, because then it's not like super like bulky on your head. You don't want a little fluff ball on top of your head and stuff like that. You know, you're trying to be kind of stealthy. So that's my favorite beanie. Otherwise, you know, as far as ball caps go, I try to wear like a camo-ish type hat, but I've got probably 12 hats that I take to camp with me, and depending upon luck, you know, for the day, if stuff's not going good, I got to switch that hat sometimes 2 times a day to get the luck going. You know, you never know. So that's my go-to, just a normal ball cap. If it's warmer weather out, I have the mesh on the back. If it's not, I got a regular, you know, full style type ball cap. Gloves, I can't do anything in gloves. I just physically cannot function in gloves. I can't get my binos out. I can't use my spawn scope. Can't hook things to tripods. I try not to wear gloves at all, but I have horrible blood flow. So I have to wear gloves every once in a while, especially if I'm like packing a tripod. So what I have found is Fly Racing makes a pair of windproof thin motocross gloves. And that is what I wear probably most of the time. It's windproof on the back, and it's just a normal like style motocross style glove on the bottom to where you can still feel pretty good. You can actually even run your phone with most of them. So that's my favorite glove that I wear all the time. If it's super cold, I've tried the Kuiu Sitka gloves. I hate them. They're junk. They're the worst gloves I think anybody's ever made. They don't like, you get cold in them. I don't see the point. So I wear snowmobile gloves. And if it's cold, like if it's like snowing and I'm having to crawl in snow and stuff like that, I'll just wear my normal snowmobile glove that I always ride in, which is it's a Tidal glove, it's called, on fly racing. And then if it's super cold out and I'm sitting in a deer stand, or even, just riding in the range or something like that, I've got heated gloves. Now there's tons of different varieties of heated gloves out there, but that is definitely my go-to, is a heated glove if it is super cold out there. And then sometimes a little tip trick that I learned when I was racing snowcross, to wear those thinner gloves on most days. I always pack a set of like surgical or mechanic rubber gloves, and you can always put those on under any type of glove, and that's going to cut the wind and keep the warmth in your hand, because they don't breathe at all. So little trick, throw those in, your hands stay a lot warmer. And that's kind of my go-to on the hats and the gloves.
So for my hats, I always wear a baseball cap, and then if my ears are freezing, then I just put my hood up.
Yeah, yep.
All my 90% of my stuff is hooded. I like to wear vests a lot too. I'll wear like no shirt and just a vest sometimes, but I just picked up a Stone Glacier vest that actually has a hood built into it, so I'm pretty excited about that. I always wear ball caps with the hood over it if I have to. Okay, for gloves, early season, if it's like cold going up, or I don't want my hands exposed to something like wet grass or whatever when I'm like making my way through it, especially working cameras and stuff, I don't want wet hands and then grabbing, then touching dirt and then grabbing the cameras, touching the lenses. So I'll wear the Sitka Ascent glove, and that is more or less like what you're talking about, a mechanic glove, basically.
Yeah, it's thin.
Yeah, real thin. And I like it because I still have the mobility to like grab my binos, operate the camera even. So that's what I wear 90% of the time in archery season if I'm going to wear a glove. If not, then I wear like a Kinko work glove. So other than that, I don't really need anything bulkier than that. And a Kinko work glove, it's like if it gets blood on it or whatever, it's not a big deal. But I will bring the like nursing examination gloves, like as part of a gut kit.
Oh yeah,
I like that. Like if it's real cold outside and you're gutting, that way. Normally they get all cut up, but I still like having them.
Till you get in the warm blood, it stays a little warmer at least.
A little warmer.
Yeah. I can get behind that.
So those are basically the gloves that I wear, and that's basically my entire gear system.
Yeah.
When it comes to what's on my body, that's subject to change, but basically I have gone through like, being cold, being wet, being too hot, and kind of dialed this gear system into what I just talked about. For me, what took the longest was definitely the socks and the boots. The other stuff, there's a ton of information out there, and go with a brand that you feel confident in, and look at this stuff as an investment. It is expensive. Like the stuff we're talking about, it's thousands of dollars in gear.
Yep.
But if this is what you love to do, if you're watching this podcast, you probably love to do it, and save up and invest in one piece at a time. You don't have to go out and drop $5,000 on a gear system. Just, maybe every month you put, $100 away, and then you buy a gear piece or whatever. So I'm pretty happy with my gear thing right now. We'll cover like backpacks and bino harnesses and stuff like that in another pod. But that's basically it, guys.
Yeah, so for part one, that's my gear system. I kind of gave you my go-tos and then what I take to camp as well. And that's what makes my hunt not suck.
Yeah.
So that's what you got right there, guys. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on part 2 of this.
Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.